So now our event is officially underway, and I'd like to invite our next speaker to the podium. Mary Cleary is the Deputy Chief Executive of ICS Skills and will update you all on the work of ICS Skills over the past year and formally introduce you to the new ECDL. Mary?
Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody, and I'm delighted once again to have the opportunity to talk to you. I won't say too much about the 10 or the 16 years. Imagine it's 16 years since we started running these conferences, and this is the 16th time that we've gathered all of you people together. And it's really has gone so quickly. And it seems every year, you know, when I come to talk to you here, it just seems like a blink of an eye since I was here telling you about Syllabus 4, Syllabus 5, or some other new initiative. But, a couple of years ago, we were here with President McAleese celebrating 500,000 ECDL candidates. We weren't actually here, we were in the convention centre, but we were gathered together as a community. And in 2012, 2013, up until now, up until this point, we have had 600,000 people come through our doors. So we're growing and increasing the numbers of people whose lives we're affecting daily and monthly and yearly. And we're growing the community of people who engage with ICS Skills through ECDL and through other programs by about 35,000 people every year. So that's a lot of people to engage with. And we're building a community, and you are the drivers and the leaders of that community. And we really, as Jim said, want to thank you for the assistance that you've given us in making this progress. You give opportunities to people to change their lives. You provide a service to the community. You make an impact. It's really significant, the work that's done by this community of people that we feel we're contributing to and helping to grow every year. We've grown and we've changed, and we've come a long way from the early days of ECDL with manual testing and just a traditional non-technical implementation of a computer certification. Everything is fully automated now, and it's completely facilitated the use of the system. Registration, e-learning, automated testing, certification, everything is provided through an automated system, which makes life easier for us and for you, we hope, as well. We value very greatly the relationship we have with all of our registered candidates. We're a much bigger operation now, and again, that's due to the size of the community that we deal with and the speed at which that community is growing. We're very conscious that we need to provide a pathway for our candidates. We need to give them a progression route where they can continue with the certification and continue with their learning once they've started with it. The relationships we have are with the test centres who are represented here today, all the different types of centres, schools and community groups and corporates and private training centres. So we have that very strong relationship, and with you we want to be engaged in a lifelong learning path for all the people that we engage with. But we have a new message. We're going to be talking today about new ECDL, but we have a new message to give in that context, and that is, don't do ECDL and just forget about it. It used to be a thing, a point in time. People would do their ECDL and they'd get their certificate and they'd either put it on the wall or put it in a drawer and say, tick a box, that was done, but maybe forget about it then. But we want to say now that people need to consider that their ECDL is just the start of a pathway. It's the start of a progression route for the candidate, or for you also as training providers, because this concept gives you further opportunities to give your candidates and your students a leverage and a step up to achieve and be successful, and to generate more business as well. So this is new ECDL, and new ECDL is brought to you by a new ICS Skills, and it's new in a way because we're changing our thinking, and we're more progressive, and we're engaging with what the thought leaders in society are presenting, and we're engaging with that, and we're not digging our heads in the sand. We're open and we're responsive to the changes and the differing needs. So we're a very progressive organisation. We have a full IT programme for schools, and we'll be talking a little bit more about different offerings we have today, as well as ECDL. We have a full range of programmes for training providers and other types of organisations, and the same automated process is involved in delivering all of them. So it's a plug-and-play type of solution that we have because of the significance of the IT systems that we've developed around registering and implementing our programmes. So new ECDL. I was just looking for this glass of water here. Well, ECDL, as we said, has been around for about 16 years. So now we're going to talk about new ECDL. So you might say, well, why are we going to change? You know, weren't we doing okay? We've had Syllabus 5 for a few years now, and it has been very stable and it's been very well received. And, you know, obviously the interest in it has been maintained, and we still have lots and lots of new candidates getting involved every year. Well, we're living in a changing world, and I think we have to recognise that there are changes in technology. There's mobile, cloud, social media, collaboration, all of those kinds of concepts. The hardware has changed, the software has changed, and the needs of the people, the needs of the learners have changed. Technology at work has changed. We hear about BYOD, bring your own device, and all the implications that has. People are using technology at home, for shopping, for entertainment. You know, so there's a lot of changes in the needs that people have. The view of learning has changed as well. I think people are more concerned now with the lifelong process of learning, and the fourth sector is spoken about a lot. This is the 6th major syllabus change since the instigation of ECDL. Now, when I say major syllabus change, I don't want people to start getting nervous and say, oh gosh, you know, is this going to upset our whole business model and everything? What's changed is what needs to change in order to maintain the progressive nature of the programme, but there's a lot that is staying the same. So you can stay within your comfort zones. Nothing's going to you know, upset the way in which you're doing business too much, but I think you'll see that what I'm presenting as the changes will be interesting and will add value and will add interest. And of course, the last reason why we change is that we have to change. It's the hallmark of the integrity and commitment to quality that's very important for us as an organisation, and which it also is important to our parent organisation, the ECDL Foundation, who are the global governing body and who guide us in the revisions of syllabus and the addition of modules, etc. It's very important. If we didn't change, if we weren't having these discussions, you'd have more to complain about, I think, because you'd be justified in saying, you know, well, really, we ought to be able to keep abreast of what's happening in society. So a lot of it is still the same. So a fair amount hasn't changed at all. First thing that hasn't changed is the quality and our commitment to quality. And quality remains our top priority, and it's because we're changing that the quality stays the same. I think that's an important point to make. The ECDL Foundation, as I mentioned, as the global parent body, are very, you know, the fact that they're a constant support and a constant professional body that are underpinning, I should say, everything that we're doing and that I'm talking to you about today. Everything that is done to contribute to the ECDL programme is done by international expert groups who develop and maintain the programmes. The relevance of the programme hasn't changed, that's still the same. And again, because we change, we don't stay the same, we stay relevant and abreast of the needs of learners and employers. The national and global recognition of the certification that we provide, that hasn't changed. ECDL still counts towards the QAI or FETAC, as it used to be, probably still is a little bit still, awards. It's in 146 countries, it's nationally recognised, and worldwide there were more than 800,000 new candidates registering for ECDL last year. So I think that's a good indication of the recognition of it. If you go on to any of the recruitment websites in Ireland today, a very, very high percentage of them still have ECDL required. So the employer recognition is still there. That hasn't changed. And we intend to, with the amendments that we're talking about today, we intend to make that even stronger and make employers, they sit up and take notice and say, this is actually a certification which is recognising that our needs are changed and changing, and that they're not the same as they were 16 years ago when we first started to see that something like ECDL, which was a benchmark and a recognition of people's skills, was something that would be good as a benchmark for recruitment. So ECDL is still needed. The needs are as great as ever. I suppose because we have this concept that young people are fearless around technology, we might start to maybe de-emphasise user skills and de-emphasise the formal training of people in how to use technology effectively and efficiently. We hear a lot about the digital native, and in some ways, it's very true. In other ways, it's a bit of a myth. There's a lot of there's a feeling that there's a generation of people, of our young people, who are very digitally aware, and they are up to a point. They are in that they don't have fear and that they're willing to take on new challenges, etc. But they're very active and very au fait with the social media and some of the newer aspects of technology. But if we dig down a little bit beneath the surface and see some of the requirements that they would have for using their IT skills in a productive way, either in school or in college or at work, we might find that they're a little bit lacking in maybe being able to create a professional document or submit a professional report for school or college, or do something on a spreadsheet. So I think we need to be very careful that we don't say, that box is ticked, that's done, let's get on and leave it behind. It's still very much needed. So why ECDL? We've been putting together lots of ideas to embed really the rationale for ECDL and why ECDL is a good way to address the needs of society for formal skills development. So we put together a few reasons. Employers love ECDL. Well, I mentioned that before, and we've got firm evidence of that. You learn practical skills, useful, relevant skills with immediate results. No kind of higher, impractical motives. Everything is, it's very practical, and the results are immediate. Spoilt for choice. I'll be telling you now today that we will have 11 modules that students can choose from. Not that they have to do, don't get worried, but that they can choose from in putting their ECDL together. You can do it anytime, anywhere, because we have our automated systems, our online learning, our online testing as well. And learn local, take it global. The global recognition. You do it here, you want to go away for a few years to the other side of the world, bring your ECDL with you, and you're away. So what's new? Some of the content is new. Old redundant content has been removed, and new technology, etc., has been added in. We've reconstructed some modules, and we've added in some additional modules. Some brand new modules. One of them is called Computer Essentials, and we'll have all of this information will be on our website, and we've got handouts and things, and there's information in your packs as well. So we'll find lots of ways of communicating this with you. So Computer Essentials is the first new module. The second one is Online Essentials. The third one is Online Collaboration. And these are three brand new modules. We've never had anything like these before. And these modules have come together as a result of an examination of the current modules 1, 2, and 7. And so they, in time, will be retired, and we'll have a new, fresh, up-to-date, modern approach to the basic concepts and skills relating to the use of devices, file management, networks, etc., and web browsing, email, all of those standard things that we need to continue to teach. And online collaboration is a brand new, I suppose, initiative for us, because we've never really looked at the use of collaborative tools, such as collaborative storage and online storage, productivity applications, using social media, things like web meetings and virtual learning environments, mobile technology, all of those new areas that we have never covered before in ECDL will be looked at in online collaboration. It'll be a module which provides lots of practical tools for students and workers to use on a daily basis. Another new one is project planning. And this is the use of project management software, and it's for the regular everyday computer user rather than the IT professional. So it's a user skill using project management software. I'll be talking more about these modules in a minute and how we came to develop them. Another thing that's new is the concept of the personalized profile. We know now that one size doesn't fit all. My ECDL at the moment is exactly the same as the majority of ECDLs that the people in this room have. But maybe my needs are different. Maybe I don't need to know about databases. Maybe I need to know more about project planning in mine, but in your job or somebody in the audience, you might need, databases might be relevant for you, but you mightn't need presentations. Maybe you don't have a need for that. So the idea of being able to select from a menu of different modules is something that we'll be bringing on board with new ECDL. So do it your way is one of the slogans that we'll be bringing forward for that. Flexibility, you can learn anytime, anywhere, and it's new, but we've had that in place also for a while. The skills card for life is a brand new concept. At the moment, when somebody registers for ECDL and they get a skills card, they have to complete all of their training and testing within 3 years. Now that kind of caused us a little bit of difficulty in the last few years as we were developing this concept of lifelong learning, because we were putting obstacles in people's way rather than opening up the door and saying, look, you've started on a path, you've done a few modules of ECDL, why don't you look at this range that we have now and see can you add something else, see can you extend your skills and the recognition that you get for having those skills. So it means that there's a one-time registration. So from next September, any candidate who registers with ICS Skills through our online system and has a skills card assigned to them, that will be their skills card for life. And they will use that skills card or that registration, a profile we're going to start calling it as well, to build up a record of achievement for life. Of course, that will reduce the cost too of ongoing training and certification. And an online profile is something that we're working on at the moment, and we'll have that in the next number of months. We'll be able to provide that. So the certificate won't be the only record or the only proof that somebody has of the modules that they've passed. They'll also be able to go online and see it, give a link to an employer, whatever, so that there's a permanent record online. And again, the tailored certification, once the modules are selected for training and for learning, then the tailored certification falls into place after that. So just to talk to you a little bit about the development pathway. These are the 7 modules as we currently have them. So the work that was done by the ECDL Foundation and that we contributed to as well on the basis of our experience and the experience and feedback that we got from yourselves, looked at modules 1, 2 and 7, and the content of the 3 of those was rationalised and formed into 2 new modules, Computer Essentials and Online Essentials. So we'll no longer have that module 1, which is all theory, very important, lots of it is very important, but a bit of a drag because it was one probably that the students didn't like learning, and it was all kind of bookish. It was just knowledge, and it just had to be tested. Like you knew about storage and things like that. But it wasn't that engaging for students. Although a lot of the content of it was very important. So. Using the computer and managing files, the file management elements of that are absolutely vital, very important, and they have been retained in these new modules, and all the elements of web browsing and communication have been retained as well. We would have had in modules 1, 2 and 7 some elements of overlap between 2 and 7 around things like security and that. So there's been a lot of rationalisation. Concepts that were outdated have been removed, and I think we've got 2 really good, strong modules there. You will be able to, if you visit our stand during the break, you'll be able to, if you're interested in taking a look at the syllabus of these modules, they're available, so you can take a look at those. And our colleagues from Enlight are here as well, and they have some sample tests that will show you what some of the questions, the test questions might look like as well. So that brings us, that graphic there looks like we've taken 7 modules and we've turned them into 6. So we had to do something about that. But at the same time, there's nothing really magic about the number 7, except that it's a number that we've been dealing with for years, because ECDL has been 7 modules. But 7, it's a good familiar number. It's a number that we'd like to keep in mind, because people are familiar with it, and it's got a nice kind of history, I suppose, associated with it in ECDL terms. So in order to fill the gap, then more modules have been added. So we've added online collaboration, I mentioned already, web editing and image editing. You'll be familiar with those as web editor and image maker. They were standalone modules that have been reasonably popular over the years, but as standalone modules with a separate registration fee and managed in a separate way with a separate certification, etc. Now they've been brought into the ECDL family, so they'll be options as ECDL modules. IT security we've had available for the last few months, and we've got a growing interest in that. And project planning I've mentioned. So that is 11 modules altogether there on the right-hand side, the version 6 modules and the new 5 modules there. Okay, the ones that have stars on them are the new ones. Interestingly, there modules, which were modules 3, 4, 5, and 6, the word processing, spreadsheets, databases, and presentation, they haven't changed at all. So that's a nice sort of solid piece of content and learning and teaching and testing that remains the same, that won't have to, that won't cause you any grief, because that's going to continue in exactly the same way as it was before. So this is our new structure. We have organized those modules into 3 blocks. I'm not going to say too much about advanced today, but I just wanted to leave them there so that you see that, so that you don't forget about them, because they are an important part of our offering. But the 11 modules that I've spoken about have been divided into 2 categories, the base modules and the standard modules. You'll notice that there aren't any numbers there, so we have to think a little bit about what's the best way to navigate through all of that. So no numbers is one thing. The base modules, these are I suppose the essential skills for a person to consider themselves, or to be considered by society to be digitally literate. So computer essentials and online essentials are the kind of theoretical and web and sort of file management and that type of skills. Word processing and spreadsheets. I think for anybody to be considered to be, pretty good at using a computer, the ability to use a spreadsheet and to use a word processor at a certain level are pretty important. So they're the base modules. So they're the ones that we'd be promoting and saying that really people starting off should start doing those modules. That's a really good place to get started. The standard modules then are the next group: presentation, databases, web editing, image editing, project planning, IT security, and online collaboration. And as I said, I'm not going to say too much about the advanced modules at the moment. Again, that's just showing you the new modules there, and no module numbers. So we're going to be relying on names more than numbers. And so that's one of the new things that you're going to notice. So from a certification point of view, how is that going to work? Well, the current practice is that 95% of people who are certified in ECDL, who get ECDL certificates from our organisation, get the full 7-module ECDL license, the full license, those original 7. About 3% get a 4-module ECDL start. And that's, at the moment, that's any 4 modules that people select themselves from the 7. And about 2% get what we call a progress cert, which is less than 4, but not 7, maybe 5 or 6, and a number that's not 4 or 7. So that's the current practice. So the first type of certification that we'll be talking about from September will be ECDL base certification. Now that's like ECDL Start, as I said, but this is a prescribed 4 modules. That doesn't mean to say that ECDL Start is gone. It just means that there is a particular certification called ECDL Base, which will be these 4 base modules. So it's not the same as Start, but it's not replacing it either. Now, ECDL Standard, the standard certification then, will be the 4 base modules plus any of the 3 standard modules. So that gives you your 7. But even though the word standard is used, it could be different, because different people or different classes can select a different 3 modules to make up the 7. And then we have the profile certification. And this is really, I think, the exciting and the interesting part of all of this. So I've called it here my ECDL, just to make the point, because it's my ECDL as opposed to your ECDL, and my profile and my selection of modules that I will be certified in. And that's any selected set of modules. It can be any number of modules from 1 up to 11, because we have 11 available. And remember that I said they can be done at any time. People can start and they can do one. They can build up their certification and keep adding to that online profile. Now, profiles, the various different kinds of profile certification. I mean, my ECDL can be lots of different things. My ECDL could be ECDL base. That could be my ECDL. That could be the profile that I select for myself. Or it could be ECDL Standard with these 7 modules. Or it could be ECDL Standard with a different 7 modules. Or it could be a third ECDL Standard. What's common to those 3 on the bottom is that they are they're preset profiles, in that they all contain the 4 base modules and then a selection of 3 from the other 7. And then my ECDL is, when I'm not referring to the preset modules, is any selection that I would choose for myself. So I don't, these 3 selections here, these don't have necessarily the 4 base modules in them. They're, spreadsheets, databases, and project planning, if that's what I as an individual need, or if I just need online essentials and online collaboration, or if I'm if I want to, a larger range of skills, I can select a different number of modules and a different list. So that's how it's personalized, and that's how the customization of it comes in. So just in summary, then, we have the 3 different types of certificate: the base certificate, the standard certificate, the profile certificate, which is my choice. And just to mention to you there that from September, the ECDL Advanced Expert Cert will be awarded to anybody who completes 3 of the advanced modules. You did have to do 4 up till now, but a decision has been taken to award the Expert Cert on the completion of any 3 of those modules. But the important thing the point I want to make about these different certifications is that you don't stop there. You don't take your certificate and then stop. You can continue to build on your achievements. At this point, I just want to mention Equal Skills, because it's a stepping stone to ECDL certification for many people, and many of our centres run Equal Skills very successfully. We've over 100,000 people have done Equal Skills in the country at this stage, and it still is very relevant, and it still meets the needs of our beginners. As any of you who are familiar with it will know, it provides a very gentle, non-threatening approach. There is assessment, but there's no exam, so it's very suitable for people who are starting. And of course, there's certification available at the end of the process. So the ECDL profile approach, it's a new concept of flexible and continuous certification. It's not an endpoint. That's really important. It's just the beginning. So your profile, your ECDL profile, is the combination of modules achieved over any period of time, from 1 year to 3 years to 23 years, because we intend to keep going to for at least 23 years. So you build your ECDL profile to meet your current or your future job role or your personal needs. to match a recommended profile. We will be providing recommended profiles because we have 11 modules now, but we're not going to stop there. The ECDL Foundation are already working on more modules to add to this menu that you can choose from. So we will be providing different kinds of profiles, maybe a recommended profile for a student, for a person starting their own business, for a person with an artistic bent and maybe wants to, do kind of web and image and collaboration type activities. So we'll be working on that. So you add new modules and you update older modules. So just, we get a lot of interest from people and a lot of inquiries from people who want to, who maybe want to recertify in a new version of the word processing package that they're using. A new version has come out and there's new features and they're not quite sure how to navigate it. So that's updating older modules is another option within this. The profile can be accessed and shared online, as I said, and that's one of the ways that this will be different and very progressive. So just comparison then between the current situation and what will be in place from September. At the moment, when you get your ECDL certificate, 95% of you will have done 7 modules. They'll have been done within 3 years, and the certificate will have been issued on completion. Then what? Well, it's done. It's done and dusted, and bye-bye ECDL, bye-bye ICS Skills. And you're not able to take advantage of other further educational opportunities that we might have brought on board since you finished off your ECDL. With ECDL Profile, any modules, any number of modules, any selection of modules, any time, and you get a certificate on request. So if you want to do 3 modules and then you're applying for a job or you're going abroad or something, you want that paper certificate, you contact us and you get it. But you can always get another one down the road. If you do 2 more or 3 more, you can get another certificate. And side by side with that, your profile will be online as well. So then what? Well, it's not an end point. There's no line drawn underneath it. You can continue and you can do some more training and learning and certification and keep adding to your profile. Okay, so version 6, as I said, it's a complex program, not one syllabus anymore. The new designation will be version 6. We're not calling it syllabus version 6. And the reason for that is that with all the different modules that are in it, different ones are on different syllabus versions, and they will evolve at different rates because we might have to update the online collaboration one next year, but the word processing one might be okay for another 2 years. So we won't be changing them all at the same time like we've done before. Word processing is still on syllabus version 5, web editing is version 2, online essentials is version 1. So the entire offering is now ECDL version 6. So how's it going to work on a practical level for you? Current candidates will continue as before. So if you have any candidates who have already started their ECDL, they have their skills card, they've started their e-learning or their classroom teaching, and they've started doing some tests, everything will continue exactly as before till they get to the end. The rules won't change. They still have 3 years to do it, because the skills card for life will come in from September for newly registered candidates from September. And just for practical reasons, that's something that we have to do. So new candidates then, they have a choice. They can for 12 months from September, from now until I suppose September 2014, they can continue to do syllabus 5 with the same rules and regulations as before, or they can opt to move to version 6 and take advantage of the skills card for life and the new modules and the flexibility and the profiles, etc. So version 5, if they opt for version 5, the traditional 7 modules will apply, usual procedures, and that will be available for people starting up until September 2014. So ECDL version 6, they'll select from 11 modules. It'll be administered as before through .NET. A package can be selected for a class. And a package is, you'll remember, like a package you will associate up till now with a set of e-learning and testing modules, usually broken up by, say, Office version. If you're doing Office 2003 version or Office 2007 or 2010 version or 2013 is coming on stream now too. So the selection is created for the class by the coordinator or the teacher. We're not obviously going to expect you to do all of this without us supporting you, as we always do. So I think it's worth mentioning this. From a practical work point of view, your access to .NET and the way you will administer and manage candidates will be exactly the same. Candidates and new modules will be managed in the same way. We will run some refresher ATS sessions, not specifically ATS sessions, we tend to call them that now, but just some briefings for people to give them an update on the kind of material that I'm talking about here today in August, September and October. And of course, you will get the usual support from our team on the phone. Many of them are here today. You'll see them around, and they'd be delighted to put faces to the names that they've been talking to all year. But they will continue to give you the support that they've been giving you for the last number of years. And so, you know, right throughout this whole process, we'll be there with you. And whenever it's necessary, we'll provide you with a site visit as well if there's something that you need some assistance with. So just for a couple of minutes, just before I come to the end, I wanted just to say a word or two about technology in schools, and just looking at the bigger picture, because a lot of the work that we do is around ECDL, and it's around you know, programs and teaching and training and certification for schools. But because we're interacting with schools and teachers on a daily basis, we get a lot of comment, and we're asked a lot of questions, and we're asked for our opinion. So we do a lot of thinking and discussing and researching about this ourselves internally. And so I think there is a lot of uncertainty you know, out there about what's the best way to use technology and what technology to use. And I suppose we need to consider what we need to get out of technology in education and what relevance it has and what we want to do with it. As they say, it's a great slave and a poor master, because without a plan, it can definitely make life very difficult, and it can be an extra burden, whereas in education, technology should be a facilitator, and it should be something which helps to enhance teaching and learning and make the experience more positive from everybody. It should be helpful, and I think it should be a tool. And I think there are three types of tool. There's a tool for, technology can be a productivity tool. It can be a tool for creating and developing, and it can be a tool for teaching and learning. And just very briefly to look at those, as a productivity tool, ECDL, or I suppose more specifically, new ECDL, is what we would suggest is what you use for your productivity tool. Because technology, or user skills rather than technology, user IT skills are like the fourth R, you know, the reading, writing, arithmetic. But the fourth one, there isn't a word that I could think of to designate user IT skills, but it's as basic as reading and writing. It's as essential to our students, because it's not an end in itself. It's a skill that is needed in order to achieve other things. I think it could be very well likened to spelling and grammar versus creative writing, because creative writing is the end, but in order to get to that end, it's very important that the tools and the skills are understood and implemented and applied by students. A certain amount of these skills can be caught, but most of it needs to be taught. So there needs to be some formal instruction in skills. And it's a means to an end as opposed to an end in itself. So that's just kind of a context for talking about this. Technology is also a tool for creating and developing. And we have recognized for a long time that there's a parallel need for technology to be used in a different way. I suppose we're of course, ICS Skills is the training and certification body of the Irish Computer Society. So we are very closely engaged with the professional IT community as well. So we've a lot of intelligence on what's going on in the IT industry. We recognise that it's important that students are given an opportunity to explore computing and information technology in a broader sense. So we have put together what we call the ICS Skills computing curriculum to enable students to use technology, rather than, I suppose, to use it in a way whereby they can create and they can develop and they can use it as a development tool. and to allow them to apply computational thinking processes and logical thinking to understand the world around them, and also to point out its relevance to a whole range of careers. So in 2012, just last summer, we started a consultation process with some of our second-level schools. And as a result of that, we developed a curriculum in computing. We've been calling it the computing curriculum, which spoke to second-level teachers, to third-level and industry representatives. We were engaging with the Coder Dojo movement, and we led this group together in the development of the syllabus. So we developed the syllabus and resources for a pilot program in 2 modules, one called Digital Media and one called Computational Thinking. And this is an ongoing project, and of course you can find out more about it in the session this afternoon, where one of the teachers that worked with us, Keith Rowe, will be making a presentation. One of the dangers in doing this is that we're coming to the stage where there's likely to be a bit of curriculum overload. As I said, we're in very close communication with our teachers and the teachers in the schools that we deal with. And we know that there's a problem in the information society that we live in, with the amount of information that has to be that has to be taught and we have to convey to our young people. We need to balance all of that, and we need to make choices. But I think it's important. That we try and accommodate what we feel is really important. And I think this concept of computing as an end in itself, as a development tool, is important to make available to our students. So we recognise and we feel that there must be a substantial coverage of IT on the curriculum and on training programmes for job seekers. We need we need to make sure that the productivity tool and the creation tool aspects of technology are covered in what's presented to our students. So what we have done is we've in talking to teachers, we have decided that we need to provide some guidance. So we are going to make a few suggestions over the next few months as to how schools might implement a whole school fully fledged IT curriculum. That will cover both the user skills and the computing skills. And we've got an example of what we're proposing in the brochure in your pack, and we'll be publishing more on our websites. But just to consider this, just to take a look at this for a couple of minutes. If this is to happen, it will require a serious commitment of time to IT, up to 100 hours per week or 2 classes per week, maybe in first or second year. So, for example, if we looked at blending user skills and computing skills into an integrated program, in first year, students might, for example, do 2 ECDL modules, Online Essentials and Computer Essentials, and they could then, on the computing side, do the Introduction to Digital Media module. Now, that would be about 100 hours of training. So it's a significant amount of time. It's 2 classes per week to cover that amount of material. To move on, when they get to second year, a suggestion might be to do the presentation module of ECDL and the introduction to computational thinking and digital media creation from the computing side. Third year is typically a year where they're doing their exams, so there's less time, but maybe online collaboration might be a useful one to get started with. And likewise in fourth year, when they have a bit more time, that's traditionally the year when ECDL is done, so there might be a bit more time to flesh it out a little bit. The user skills stream there would, as before, lead to an ECDL certification, and the computing skills stream would lead to an award by the Irish Computer Society. Again, this is just something to get you thinking, and we'd love to get your feedback as to how you think this kind of program might work, and is it something that we should spend more time working out and researching with you, or just generally to get your feedback. We'd be very interested in doing that either today or over the next few weeks by email, phone call, whatever way you'd like to talk to us. And very quickly, because I think I'm probably over time already, the third tool, I mentioned the 3 tools for using technology, the productivity tool, the creation and development tool, and the third one is the tool for teaching and learning. And this is kind of the unifying part. This is what puts it together, and this is what we are promoting in our ICS grid, which is a virtual learning environment. Again, like the productivity tool, this is not an end in itself, but it's a system to facilitate making the best of new technologies in education. We want to enhance the learning experiences of students by educating them through technology and using technology to educate them. And of course also making making the job of the teacher a little bit easier in terms of providing lots of resources. This is a Moodle platform. This system is a Moodle platform, but it's preloaded with resources which are curriculum specific and have been compiled for us by teachers over the last couple of months, over the last 12 months, I suppose, so they're fully up to date. It's a fully searchable system. And the usual exam papers, sample solutions, study skills, all the things that teachers need to have to hand are there. And it's really cost effective. For the cost of a couple of copybooks, this could be provided to students in school. We often said in ourselves in discussion about how this is priced and the impact that this might have on schools, that if one textbook was dropped from a book list for one year group, say in September, this would be paid for the entire school. So it's only €5 or €6 per student, and so it's a very, very cost-effective and worthwhile program. I'm almost at the end now. Just to say that we're often asked advice about purchasing, about what should be purchased in terms of hardware and software. But I think it's important to take account of the 3 uses of technology that I've mentioned: productivity, creating and developing, and teaching and learning. And when you're looking at hardware or you're looking at software, you have to see whether the tools that you're purchasing for your school can accommodate all of the needs, or whichever of those needs are important to you and your school. I mentioned that we're going to be disseminating this new ECDL message. So we're going to be, over the next few months, getting back in touch with our registered candidates, people who have engaged with us over the past 16 years. We want to speak to them, give them some new messages. To our old friends, we want to say to them, pick up where you left off. There's lots more available. Don't just close the book because you've got your ECDL certificate, but move on and see what you can see what we can offer you. We'll be launching a re-engage campaign over the next few months. We'll be talking to, as I said, to our old friends. There'll be a bit of free stuff available for people who come back and talk to us, so keep an eye out for that. So watch out for us. There'll be some new images and some new messages that you'll see appearing in maybe newspapers or bus shelters or whatever over the next number of months. So there's a few examples of some of the images that you might see there. So that's pretty good. So just at the end, just to finish up, I want to say a very sincere thank you to the team at ICS Skills, or the teams at ICS Skills, who have organised this conference and who keep the show on the road all year round. We have obviously the management team, with the marketing team, account management and quality team. We have a support team who are very well known to all of you. We have our IT team. They kind of hide away in the background, but without them, the systems that we're delivering wouldn't be there, and they wouldn't be maintained. Our administration team, all the administration of the systems is all taken care of very efficiently, and our sales team. So they're our favourite, really, I think, the sales team. So really, again, want to say thank you very much for listening to me. If you want more information on anything that I've been talking about, come and talk to me, talk to Linda, talk to anybody on the stand. Any of the staff on the stand will answer your questions. And I hope I haven't gone over too much, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.